Hello and welcome to Talk of Good Games match preview. Manchester City against West Ham United. The title shall be decided at the Eithad on Sunday during this game. Gonzo, would you like to kick us off with your thoughts on the Citizens, please?
Yeah, I think they've been playing not to their usual high standard this season, it has to be said. But there's no surprise in that, because I remember Fergie always saying at Manchester United when he was sort of making his great saves, it's so hard to go again. And they won the treble, they won everything last season, of course. I think in many respects, this is possibly the European Super Cup, actually, this game, isn't it? I think if you've got the Champions League winners against the Conference League winners, so we've got that. Whoever is victorious lifts the cup. Big Man City, of course. But I think they've done so well, and so many of their players have underperformed. Yet they're still managing it. You know, look at Haaland the other night. He's not had his best season. So even, I would suggest, even like Manchester City at sort of 80, 90% have still been good enough to win the league this season, which I think is sort of testament to a lot of their players. I think a lot of their players some of them have come to the fore, some of them have dipped somewhat. And I've got to be honest with you, Geo, you know, I'm not a great fan of monopolies, it has to be said. I don't necessarily like the way that there's this disparity in money in the league. I'm not an advocate for financial fair play, by the way. I think if you've got rich owners and they're not going to bankrupt the club, they should be allowed to spend. I'm not saying that because of the rules. Obviously, Man City have had to bend and break them. And I do wonder if they're going to be stripped of these titles at some point. So, you know, quite possibly you might find that Arsenal are in years to come, Arsenal are handed this trophy, you know, because they will deem it possibly Man City didn't win it by sort of authentic means or whatever. But I just sort of marvel at their brilliance, really, and some of their players and how they manage to do it, and just they keep managing. I do think in Pep Guardiola that they have the best manager. I think they've probably got the best player over the years in Kevin De Bruyne as well. I don't mean all time in football, but you know, the sort of little epoch, this era that we're talking about. And I think they're impressive and worthy champions, actually.
Yeah, I think they're just a machine, aren't they? Once they get up and running at the end of the season, there's just no stopping them until maybe Sunday. We'll get on to that one, but maybe not on Sunday either. But they just keep on going, to keep on winning. I agree. I don't feel like we've seen prime Man City, and their fan base may be underwhelmed at the fact that, you know, they went out of the Champions League, albeit to decide that might go on and win it. But after winning it last year, finally, it would have been a disappointment to go out this year. And I think after the first leg in Spain, I think there was maybe a bit of an expectation that Man City would be the team that would go through to the semi-finals. But in terms of the league, it was there for Arsenal and Liverpool for one of them to really take control of it, because Manchester City weren't performing. And then once they get up and running, they start chasing you down. It is difficult. And it is insane because when you say that Haaland hasn't been at his best, I'm inclined to agree. But yet he's, you know, still the top goal scorer. And it's just like, how does that work then? How can he still be the top goal scorer and produce that many goals yet not be at his best? And I think this is where you get a reminder of how good Pep Guardiola is as a manager, because I think it sometimes can be a bit easy to say, well, he's got all the best players in the league. He's got world-class players. He's got the best player in each position in the league, most of them anyway. But yet, when I'm seeing people doing their team of the seasons and stuff, which we will do our Hammers Chat version soon once the season's finished, there's not that many Man City players in these, whether it be the pundits, the journalists, the fans, it doesn't really matter. There's one or two City players maybe, but that is it. And I think that just reflects that when these players perhaps aren't at their peak or aren't performing as high as they should be or could be, the tactics are what is winning them the games. And they are very efficient. When you watch them against Spurs the other night, all the pressure's on Man City, and they were really poor in the first half, yet they still ran out winners easily enough in the end, helped by Son, of course, missing the one-on-one when he went through and goal. Yeah. In terms of one player in particular, though, he's already won one award, but I think it's fair to suggest he might win the other awards as well, like the PFA Player of the Year. But Phil Foden, I mean, it's a ridiculous season, ridiculous player.
Yeah, you know, quite frankly, obviously, I'm going to say this, but I'm obviously knowing that you are Scottish and you won't obviously share this sentiment. He makes you proud to be English. I've got to say, he gives you hope in the national team and concern. He's got some gems there in Phil Foden and Jude Bellingham. Gareth Southgate truly has two of the world's best players. He cannot muck that up. And obviously, as England fans, you're worried that he will. To see,
from a Scotland fan, I'm worried that he doesn't.
Of course, yeah, right, and rightly so too. That's what it's all about. Football is all about rivalries, as I'm sure we're going to go on to discuss.
Unless you ask Ange Postecoglou.
Yeah, he's lost his bouncy, happy spirit, hasn't he? And to be fair, I blame Arsenal for that as well, because it was dead. People seem to think he lost it the other night. No, that broke him. That Arsenal game broke Postecoglou. It really did, and he's been grumpy ever since. Anyway, that's a conversation for another channel, I'm sure. Foden, he's just gone up a level. And it's his goals. He's always had the skill. He's always had the all that stuff. And you have to say, back to Pep again, he's managed him perfectly, actually, and I just marvel at him. He's fantastic. It's one thing. I got a little minor annoyance. There was a game, and I don't know. You pick your game. It wasn't that long ago. Could have been a month ago, something like that. Relatively recently, De Bruyne set him up, and De Bruyne did all the work, and I just thought, and anyway, so he ran, and De Bruyne sort of ran towards him to say, "Good, it's good, mate." You know what I mean? You and me, and anyway, Foden was off on his own, sliding on his knees, and whatever he was doing, I don't know, it was arrows or guns or something or other, right? I thought, oh mate, it's a little bit. It's a modern way. It's just a little bit indulgent. I just think, go and celebrate with your teammates. Do you know what I mean? He's. Come on, go and say thank you to Kevin. But no, he's a magnificent player and worthy of whatever accolades he receives, whatever awards he receives. A worthy winner, and it's for me. It's important that the Premier League, occasionally has the best player in the Premier League is English and comes from the Premier League. I think that's very good. I would say the same for any league. Important for the German league to, I don't know if Wirtz is going to win it this season, but that would be a good thing for them as well. So yeah, it's good stuff.
I can admire him when he's not in a Man City. Well, when he is in a Man City top, not playing West Ham, or he's not in an England top, because he is an incredible footballer, and he's just come on more and more. And a few years ago, you did wonder why Pep perhaps wasn't playing him as much as he should have done. You did think, come on, there's potential here to use Phil Foden more. But it felt like the baby reins were on a little bit with Pep. But now you look at him this season, and he's the best player in the league for me in terms of what he's done in the last 12 months and stuff. And every time you go to watch Man City, you expect him to perform, and usually he does. And some of his goals, he's got a huge variety. He's got the tap-ins because he reads the play really well, but he's also got his individual efforts when he's scoring from outside the 18-yard or two. The way he just dribbles past players in the middle of the pitch and stuff, and takes. He's still quite young. I think this is going to be his sixth Premier League medal, and he's 23 years old, which is just just remarkable. But he's only 23, but he takes great responsibility in a Man City team full of internationals, seasoned players that have been there, done it, and they've been there for years, like De Bruyne, like Rodri. But he's not fazed by that, and he looks like one of the more senior players, and that he belongs in that team. He's just an incredible talent. I've got no doubt he'll win the PFA Player of the Year, and I think he deserves to as well. Any other players from Man City you admire, Gonzo?
But yeah, funny, the two you just picked out there, actually. I think Rodri has, so De Bruyne I've already spoken about. Rodri has shown. Look, Declan Rice had a chance to move to Manchester City. Manchester City bid for him, but I think you very much felt that Declan pushed for Arsenal. It was Declan wanted Arsenal. You certainly feel had you given City any encouragement, they would have come back with more bids. But City pulled out, well, I guess we'll only know if Declan. I'm sure he's very, very happy with his decision. But when you look at it from City's point of view, when you look at how Rodri has played this season, it's actually been colossal. It's been colossal. And you think, well, actually, and I don't mean this as any detriment at all. I'm sure Pep would have swapped it around. Look what he's done with John Stones. Look what he's done with Gvardiol or whatever his bloody name is that I can't pronounce. He can play these players in different positions. So I'm not going to say Declan wouldn't have played in the team, but he wouldn't have taken Rodri's position. And that's how good Rodri has been.
Yeah, I completely agree. Just an insane talent. I think Akanji's been really good this season. Bernardo Silva continues to perform in more than one position, and that's what I think I admire about Bernardo Silva the most. Whether you play him on the right of a front three, play him sort of centre midfield. Pep's even played him at left back. And no, he didn't perform really well at left back on the few occasions Pep played him there, but
Yeah.
it just goes to show the type of player he is actually. And whenever there's a big game like against Spurs, usually Bernardo Silva is one of the players that just perform. He just turns up and gets the job done. He doesn't hide. He doesn't fail either. He's possibly one of City's most consistent performers. I think Bernardo Silva. He's maybe not the best on their day, but I think he's one of the most consistent and one of the ones that Pep trusts the most. And understandably so, and I've got no doubt he'll have a big game and a good game on Sunday against us. Now we're going to talk about West Ham, but just in a second, a little bit of admin. First of all, there's a lot of stuff going around that West Ham will want Arsenal to win the league because we received an additional $5 million from the Declan Rice sale. Well, that's untrue. The clause, Arsenal have already paid us or agreed to pay us $100 million, and there's a $5 million of add-ons. That $5 million is $1 million per year every time Arsenal qualify for the Champions League. So we've already secured $1 million this year. $101 million now is what we've got for Declan Rice. The other $4 million we cannot get, so it doesn't matter if they win the title or not. So that isn't really something that's going to motivate West Ham this weekend. To be honest with you, I'm not sure why David Moyes or Michael Antonio or Jared Bowen would be motivated by the club receiving $5 million more. I don't get it. But anyway, just putting that one to bed. And the second bit of admin, just want to point in direction of Match Bingo, the sponsors of this preview. Match Bingo is combining the game that you all know and love when you go away and get your dabber, or you might do it digitally these days where you just sit there, let the guy call out the numbers and then marks the card for you. Unsure why you go there to play. I don't get it, but when you're at home and it's doing it on the football, it is handy because Match Bingo update the app for you. You get 15 things you need to happen in the game. You get some really simple stuff like West Ham to take a kickoff. We might have a few of those on Sunday. West Ham to get a throw in, Man City to have goal kicks. And then you get some tricky ones like West Ham to have a shot on target. That can sometimes be a bit of an awkward thing. But you get 15 things. It pays out 3 times. You get first line, second line, and full house. And on Monday night, we've had numerous subscribers have won a Match Bingo from Hamish Chat. But on Monday, we had our biggest winner yet. He won 250 quid on the Aston Villa-Liverpool game. He got full house. It was dead heat. Someone else won it at the same time. So they had to split the pot 500. So he scooped £250 off a £2 play. Please do use the link in the description below to download the app so you know you've come from Hamish Chat. So get downloaded, get signed up, and there's also 10 Premier League games on Sunday. So lots of potential to have a little bit of fun and hopefully win some money. You do need to be 18 plus to get involved because it's a gambling app, and please do gamble responsibly. Gonzo, speaking of gambling responsibly, shall we discuss what David Moyes could do on Sunday?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, team news, first of all, there is no Calvin Phillips. He is ineligible to face his parent club. However, even if he was eligible, he's still injured after kicking somebody. Nia Fagerd continues to be AWOL. Nobody really knows. Apparently he's injured, but we don't really know. Mavropanos was actually injured last week, but for the sake of the preview, Gonzo, you can have anybody you want bar Calvin Phillips. You cannot have him, okay? You're not allowed him. But anyone else, you may have in your 11 you wish to see at the Eithad. So would you like to kick us off with your goalkeeper, please?
Yeah, I think I'm going to put Anang in goal for this one. What? What's the problem?
Continue. No. Just continue.
I'm going to have Anang in goal for this one. Chance to see what the kid can do.
You'll definitely find out what he can do. That's for sure.
We will, yeah. Can he catch? Oh my goodness! Yeah, he's gonna get. Let's be fair. Ultimately, it doesn't bloody matter because Haaland will kill us anyway. But let's just yeah. I mean, he's on 27 goals. Haaland's looking at this thinking, I'm going for the 35. But I think, look, this is, we can only finish 9th.
Yeah.
Yeah, so let's point that out. Just anybody that doesn't know, we could be brilliant. We can beat Manchester City 10-0. We finish 9th. We can lose 10-0 and we finish 9th. Right. So we've got to look after ourselves here. And next season, Ariola's on a naughty step. Well, him and his wife are. They can keep each other company on the naughty step. I'd like to have a look at Anang. I really would. But a lot of good stories about Anang, how he's this week, about how he has helped welcome Mohamed Kudus to the club. There's a kinship there. I think this is nice. This is nice to hear. And he's very, very highly thought of. He's considered to be a very, very good keeper. When I saw him live myself when the development squad with the under-21s went and played Wycombe Wanderers in the EFL Trophy. I thought he really grew into the game there, actually, and I thought come the end of the game he was making some good saves. So, yes, Anang would be in goal for me.
Not for me. I don't want to see somebody rewarded because he's helped someone settle into the country. But all joking aside, his contract's up in the summer, actually. The club have got a decision to make with Anang. It was a nice story, but that's all it was. It was a nice story. As much as I'm I have a feeling that there's going to be a few youngsters that feature in the rest of your team, given that you've just put Anang in goal, right? So I'm now expecting you to reel off KC and Eithad as we go through it, but we'll get to that, right? Spoiler, I am not. And the reason being is because it's Man City away and they need to win. If we were at home to Everton, I'd be like, yes, go for it. Brilliant. Put them in. That's it. The last week against Luton, that was the right occasion to introduce Eithad and Casey, and we could have got away with maybe introducing another couple of youngsters or playing them from the start. But Man City away, no. I mean, it's not quite Allardyce FA Cup against Nottingham Forest, because he did it to prove a point, which would put them out there, get them beat, so I can turn around and say, well, there you go, you got your academy players. So it's not that. But I fear that the end result could be the same, which is we get spanked. And I don't want the youngsters to have to get battered by Man City away. I think it's going to be tough enough for Areola. I'm intrigued to see what his missus has got to say if he concedes 5 at the Eithad on Sunday. Haaland, man and match. You know why that is.
You want to say not again. Not another 5. Alphonse.
Wonder why Haaland got man of match. We all know the real reason, don't we?
Of course we do.
Your defence, please.
I'm going with Johnson, Mavropanos, Zuma, and Emerson. I completely agree with what you say, which is why I'm not playing Casey. Anyone else apart from Manchester City, it'd be in, and it's because of Haaland. Yeah. That's the only. Basically, it needs to have. I mean, I think, and I would honestly, any other. And I mean this, any other of the other 18 teams, I would have put Casey in at centre back. But for the reasons you said, it's Man City, and it's that battering. He's a brute. So I put in a couple of just grown-ass men in there, basically, in terms of Kurt Zuma and Konstantinos Mavropanos. They're still going to get battered. They're still not going to be able to deal with him. But it won't be quite as damaging. So yeah, Johnson, Mavropanos, Zuma, and Emerson.
I completely agree. The reason I've gone Ben Johnson over Soufal, I think Soufal was one of our better players last week against Luton, but I'm not sure he'll play Doku or Grealish out on that left. I think he might just do what he did against Spurs with Silva and Foden, but that's a 1 in 3 chance. Phil Foden, while he'll cause Soufal problems, it won't necessarily be going past him to the byline, putting crosses in. But there is a chance he will play Grealish or Doku there. And he absolutely roasted Soufal at the London Stadium. It was a bit of a nightmare for him, actually, and Doku just kept on going by him every single time.
Yeah.
But also, he might have the Euros. It depends on if he's back in the good books or he's still on the naughty step for going out clubbing. Soufal going out clubbing is the last thing I expected to see make the headlines. But it happened. So I would put Johnson in there as well, just because I think he's more like Cleveland. Soufal's had he's had a strong season, summer to look forward to. Just give him the day off, really, so that he can look forward to it. Moving into midfield.
Yeah, I'm going to play Alvarez because I feel there was an element of punishment there, and there's nothing against Ward-Prowse and Souček. 2 really good goals there, and I feel Eithad's. I think Moyes saying goodbye and Eithad's wonderful cameo overshadowed what a technically excellent goal Thomas Souček played and scored. So let's get that right. And I also felt Ward-Prowse had a strong performance, but I didn't particularly want to say this too much in the review because Luton fans had just been relegated and it felt like sort of sticking the boot in. They were terrible. They were truly awful. So I'm not putting too much stock by what the technique for the goals were both from Ward-Prowse and Souček was excellent, but they do not that's almost the only midfield they have dominated when they played as a pair. And it was horrendous. They're not about to face that. So but I do think so. I want Alvarez back in there because I think he will make a difference. If I'm concerned about the two centre backs, the one player that is going to slot in at centre back, don't be wrong, Souček does big rescue stuff and all the rest of it, and he does a lot of headers, a lot of clearances. But I'm giving him a rest for the same reasons. He's got the European Championships coming up, and we've got to look after ourselves anyway. It's not just that either. We can't keep giving the ball away to Man City. They'll just come back at us all the time. And yes, will he do the headed clearance and all that? Yeah, but he will then give the ball straight back to him. So I'm actually putting a midfield of Alvarez, Eithad, who I think will keep the ball, and I'm playing Eithad in there as well in attacking midfield.
I get it. I think while I've just at the start said I don't want to throw sort of the lambs to the slaughter here, Man City aren't going to bully us in the middle of the park. They'll pass us to death, but they're not. When Orford's got the ball, they're going to have some sort of physical contact, but we're not a way to play prime Sean Dyche Burnley here, where they're in your face, snarling and booting you and elbowing you in the face every time there's a high ball like that. They almost, not say respect you, but they sort of like, let's play football like this kind of thing.
They'll tactically foul you, but they won't try and injure you.
Yeah. There's no bullying going on. So actually, in a weird way, while we don't want to play with Casey because he'll get smashed by Haaland, but actually, the young lads might actually be okay in terms of keeping the ball a little bit. Now,
Can I just say, sorry, before you say your bit, I also think they'll benefit. I think it'd be a hell of an education, but that's why I've picked two ball players there in Orford and Eithad. From playing, you mentioned Silva there. What a great example that is from playing against a Pep team. I also would not rule out the possibility that when they leave that pitch, that Pep would have a word with them. That would be very much in keeping with the man. So I do think even if we get beat, and I expect us to get beat, but I do think there is a footballing education. Rather, I think a lot of people might see it as a punishment. It would destroy them. I'm not so sure. I think they might learn a trick or two by playing against these world-class players. So yeah, that's another part of my reasoning.
Yeah, I mean, just to back up Gonzo, when we met Tony Gale in the summer to get his book signed, and he was saying that he'd been at West Ham for a while as a young lad, and he had one training session with Bobby Moore, and he learned more in that one training session than he did in every other session combined, just because he was playing next to Bobby Moore. And I thought, wow, I can learn from this guy. And what Bobby Moore taught him was worth far more than anything he'd been told by the coaches and what other players had taught him. But just that one training session was what really helped him. So there is sort of something to your theory there. But I'm not going to put the youngsters in. I'm going to go with Alvarez, Ward-Prowse, Lucas Paqueta. For the similar reasons to you, we need to keep the ball. When we do get it, which is not going to be very often, I'd like us to keep it as much as possible. And then Empoli can keep it in there. Yeah. They will be able to keep it a little bit. And for all of Ward-Prowse's criticisms in terms of it's a bit sideways and backwards, which I think are valid, that's not a bad thing when you're playing Man City. Actually, having somebody that just turns around and passes it and keeps it safe is not the end of the world. And I'm putting Paqueta in there because, well, the man on your T-shirt might want his move to Man City at the weekend. He might want his move to Man City. So he's going to have to impress Pep. He's going to have to impress Pep on Sunday. And of course, there's going to be the whole, well, he stops City winning the title if he's going there in the summer. Well, actually, he might have to. That's what it takes to get his move. If he wants,
Declan did it. Declan did it to Arsenal last season. But he robbed Thomas Partey.
You might have a 90-minute audition in front of Pep Guardiola and the Chiefs at Man City and says, look, come get me. I am worth 85 million. Look what I can do. So if his motivation is to show the Eithad that that's the guy they should go get, fine. If that's what gets him to perform on Sunday, I'm not that bothered. So that's my midfield. You got 3 players remaining, Gonzo. Give me them.
Bowen, Antonio, Kudus. So I'm not peppering it with youngsters. They're the ones that I benefit. It's funny you say that about Paqueta. I'm taking him out of the team so he can't impress them, so we keep him.
I think it's because of my mentality regarding Paqueta's future. I'm okay if he goes, as long as we get a really good fee, and I'm okay if he stays. I think West Ham are in a really strong position with Paqueta this summer. We either have a fantastic player next season, or we get a really big lump sum in the summer, which could improve us as a squad going forward. So I'm not bothered which outcome happens. I'm more concerned about keeping Kudus and Bowen than Paqueta. So it's, you go out there, earn your money, and get your £85 million move if you want. Right, I want to ask you, before I tell people how they can win this signed Paqueta shirt, speaking of the man himself, before I tell people how they can win that, there's a lot of talk at the minute.
Yeah.
Do you want to win? And I sometimes, usually, struggle to get it. There are some people that wanted to lose the Conference League final because it would mean not another year of David Moyes. I didn't understand it and never would understand it. I just couldn't contemplate losing a cup final so the manager gets sacked. I just didn't get it, right? But this weekend, given the context, like you said, we're ninth regardless. If we were playing for European football, if we won, man, you lost, we could go 7 and get European football, then sure, I'd be like, no, we need to win. But given there's literally nothing to play for, there's nothing at stake for West Ham, what's your mentality going into this game?
Well, I'll tell you, and not to give a politician's answer, I'm just going to tell you frankly and straight as it is. We do this stuff for a job, and we're very lucky to do so. And so we spend our days going, literally trawling through YouTube comments, trying to find news stories on social media and finding what the next day's video can be. We upload twice a day, and that's not even including our patron. So we come into contact with a lot of opposition fans. But Arsenal are by far the most horrible. There's absolutely no doubt about that. And I'm not talking about their, I'm talking about their online presence. And I think there's a reason for that. I think because of Arsenal Fan TV, because they built their platform off of outrage, because they built it off the back of hatred, and you have a lot of them. They allowed a lot of ranting against Arsene Wenger. I think there were probably a lot of people on the internet who thought, I'm going to gravitate towards that, and they did. So I think they've just got more of a proportion. So I think when it's left a lot of bad feeling for me and a lot of other people that might spend any period of time on the internet, particularly the Declan Rice stuff. They were pretty classless, and I've never really known anything like it when we've sold any player to anyone before. That you get this tsunami of trolling, basically. So it doesn't create a good. It doesn't make you want them to win. They don't. They're not an easy club to love, Arsenal. And then you've got to remember, on the other hand, you actually have a very respectful fan base who I think you see, obviously they're vastly different. Manchester City and West Ham are vastly different now. They've got all this oil money and they're a different entity. But Man City know what it's like to be the smaller club in a city. They know that. They've lived in the shadow of Manchester United, been taunted and wound up by Manchester City by Manchester United over the years. So I think they've sort of retained that class. And even when they've thrashed us, they've been very respectful. Honestly, there have been times when Man City have thrashed us and you get the comments saying, look, you know what, lads, you know what, you weren't actually that bad today. That's what they're like. They're poles apart in terms of fan base, I'm sorry to say. Probably not the match-going fan, I would suggest, but the online presence, they're poles apart. And then you've got, the managers. One of them's classy, one of them's classless. And I think I don't want them to win. What can I say? Ideally, I would like West Ham to win, to beat Man City with Eithad and Orford scoring, and then Arsenal to lose to Everton. That would be my preferred choice. But make no mistake about it, because of what's pretty much been 9 months. It was before that, even before Declan Rice came. It's been pretty much over a year's worth of online abuse from Arsenal fans. I just don't want to see them win.
Yeah, it doesn't reflect the entire Arsenal fan base, no. But I have to agree. Some of it was a bit too much to stomach at times, especially when. And it's not just them. Do you know something? It's not just the Arsenal fan base. It's a lot of the mainstream media as well. In regards to Declan Rice, look how much Arsenal have improved him. He's like, piss off. He was doing that at West Ham. You just didn't watch us to understand. But now he's there at Arsenal doing it. It's like, oh, wow, this guy's really good, didn't he? We told you for ages that he was really good. We're getting told you're deluded. We said when West Ham slapped £125 million price tag on him, and the mainstream media laughed and said, what are they doing? What are they on about? He's not that good. And now he's gone to Arsenal. So that's a bargain, £105 million. Isn't it funny that? We've been saying that for ages, but he just dismissed us, despite the fact that we're the ones that watch him week in, week out. And it's just, I think because of the mainstream media's, and we've had it with the David Moyes thing, of course, but with the Declan Rice thing, it was just this patronising, dismissive attitude towards fans, as if to say, "What do you know? What makes you entitled to have an opinion on a player? Why do you feel like you can say what a player's worth and what a player's not worth and stuff? Have you gone to uni and done a course in journalism like I have? No, we haven't. But we watch him every week. And I think that is what really irritated me, because Rio Ferdinand said to him halfway through the season, you've added this attacking side to your game. And Declan Rice said, no, I haven't. I was doing it at West Ham. Just nobody watched it.
Sorry, I actually think he dribbled more at West Ham than at Arsenal, by the way. I thought he did. I thought he did more windy dribbles. Actually,
the one thing he's done better at Arsenal is his corner kicks. They've got a lot better.
Yeah, where did they come from? Yeah,
I'll give him that. I remember him taking him at West Ham, hitting the first man all the time. So I will give him the credit for that kind of thing. But it just irritated me. And as a result, I would prefer Man City to win it. But also because I've had nice experiences going. I've only been to the Eithad 3 times as an away fan. Lost all 3, unsurprisingly. One of them got smashed in the Carabao Cup. I don't think it was Carabao Cup back then. It was the Carling Cup, maybe. We got smashed in the semi-final a couple of seasons ago when we got beat when it was snowing at half-time. And then when, funny enough, the last game of the season, a few years ago, we got beat and Man City won the title and there was a pitch invasion. And I remember being there thinking, do I leave or do I stay for the cup? What do I do? Am I going to watch this or am I going to not? And I was thinking, I might just stay and watch it. And the Man City fans were on the pitch in front of the away end. And there was one or two that did unpleasantries, hand signal. But after that, and the majority came over and started clapping the West Ham fans. As I say, fair play. You've been singing your hearts out for 90 minutes. You've given us respect. And because of that sort of moment, I've always had a little bit of a soft spot. I thought that's nice. That fan base is nice. Like I said, I seen it last week with West Ham fans towards Luton fans and Luton players. We practically relegated them. We clapped the fans. We clapped the players off the pitch. I like stuff like that. And it makes me feel nice. It just makes me feel nice.
It's just human nature, mate. It's human nature. You're going to wish goodwill on the people that are nice to you, and people that have been abusive towards you, which is what it's been. You're not going to wish them well. It's as simple as that. But there's still to this day, as recently as today, there's Arsenal fans who are. It's not even football. It's just human nature. It's Arsenal fans who are confused about that. You can't have it both ways. They have just been nicer to us, Man City.
I've seen social media posts getting dragged off for people a year ago slagging off West Ham, calling us a small club, basically saying, "Give us Declan Rice, stop holding Declan Rice hostage." And now saying, "Go on, do it for Declan." Hang on a minute. Whoa. Whoa. And I thought there was something that I thought was quite sweet about the fact that from Monday onwards, Arsenal fans have been rooting for Spurs and now West Ham. I think good. I'm glad you have to, through gritted teeth, want Tottenham to win and then West Ham win to do you a favour. And I hope neither do it for you. And I don't think they will.
I mean, you can be the pantomime villain. You can be the most unpopular fan base in the country. You could, if that's what you want to do. And that's what's happened. You can do that, but you're just not gonna. You can't have it both ways. You're not going to get the goodwill and the love when But it's not even about that. Do you know what? It's got nothing. All this. As you made a great point. Begging. That Jared Bowen or David Moyes or whoever's not going to care about any bonus, which doesn't apply anyway. In a Declan Rice transfer, West Ham fans have no sway in this. We have no sway. The biggest chance that they've got is actually with David Moyes, and that the players might want to play for him on his final game. That's the only hope they've got.
They did it last week.
Sorry?
They did it last week in the second half.
I agree. And that David Moyes, the best chance that Arsenal fans have got is that David Moyes bucks his career trend of going to big clubs and not playing like he does. It's not all bad news. Thomas Mohamed Kudus has come out today. And he basically said he's going to try and beat Man City for his mate Thomas Partey. That's what he said today. So there are glimmers of hope for Arsenal fans. But you'll find none in the historical records of David Moyes going away from home to big title-chasing teams. You'll find none.
Anyway, you can guess what we're going to be predicting. Just want to quickly point in the direction of our Patreon, where somebody will hopefully be winning this weekend. Signed Lucas Paqueta shirt. We have a prediction competition over there. All you have to do is guess the score. And the first goal scorer of the game. And it doesn't matter what tier you're subscribed to this weekend. If you're a paid subscriber of Hammers Chat Patreon, you're the overall winner. You will win that signed shirt, even if you're just a supporter tier subscriber, which is £3.60 per month. If you're a mild addict, it will also give you a mug as well. But if you're an addict, if you're the top tier patron, you'll win a signed Lucas Paqueta shirt, a mug, and a signed Julian Dix print, similar to the one that's behind that canvas there. There you go. You can just see Julian Dix poking up there. That's Julian Dix. That's the signed Julian Dix.
Julian Dix doing what up there?
Little,
Julian Dix poking up there, is he?
there's a little Dix there. Look.
There he is.
There's a little Dix up there for you. Right then, patreon.com/Hammers Chat. Much appreciate anybody that does sign up and help us out. It generally makes a huge difference to us, allowing us to do this as a job, as Gonzo mentioned earlier. Links in description. Gonzo, do you have any optimism?
Well, not for the scoreline or a win, but that's why I want to see a couple of youngsters. I'm very optimistic about next season. Very optimistic. So yeah, I've not have a pessimism about this. I think we'll lose. I think we'll lose handsomely. But I actually think, yeah, I think that we're at that stage. We're not used to this. We've been blessed. We've been blessed recently because we're normally fighting for, to get into Europe. We're now. This is weird. It's weird. We are 9th or 9th. That's it. That is it. I think for anyone travelling up there, it's a day out.
I think the away end will be doing the Poznan.
I agree.
With half an hour to go. I think they'll have a really good time up there.
A bloody good day. Honestly, a bloody good day out. That will be. You hopefully get to see some West Ham players. Hopefully, you get to see some West Ham youngsters. You'll get to see a few West Ham players waving goodbye. You'll probably get to see some world class players like Phil Foden and Kevin De Bruyne and whatnot. And I can't imagine too many people are going up there expecting West Ham to win. I don't expect us to win, but I'm not downbeat about it. There's a sort of ceremonial aspect to the end of the season. Actually, it's for all. It feels like for there to be a birth of a new era, the dawn of a new era. The old one has to come to an end, and it's been it's been some pretty crappy football this season. We've taken a lot of thrashings, a lot of heavy defeats. So I'm not upset to see it come to an end. However, we finished 9th, which is okay. We've reached a couple of quarterfinals, which is okay. So, if as an overview of the season, you'd say, okay, yeah, not bad. But let's do it and let's move on to bigger and better things. So, in terms of the defeat, I'm not confident in terms of winning. Sorry.
I'm very confident we'd lose, but do you know something? This isn't even necessarily a West Ham thing. Put any team in front of Man City on Sunday, and I'm confident Man City win. This is what they do. They get up and running at the end of the season, and they just get the job done. So it's not even just downplaying our team. It's, like I said, stick another team in there. Brentford, Newcastle, Crystal Palace. Well, maybe not Palace at the minute, but most of the other teams in Premier League, I'd be saying, you know what? City are going to win. It's just what they do. Same when they played Spurs at half time. City didn't look very good, but you knew they were going to go on and win. It's just what they do. There was a bit of me that, I will be honest with you, wanting to stick it to the Premier League a little bit on Sunday. When I was watching the Spurs game and Son went through and Ortega made the save and you had Carragher and Neville, I think it was at time. That's just one City title. Hang on a minute. There's still a game to go on Sunday yet. Yeah. And we stopped Man U back in 1995. It was us that stopped Man United. And I thought a little bit of me got slightly offended because we've just been written off a bit by the mainstream media. But it's like, City have won the league. They're going to do it on Sunday. But then after about a minute, I thought, well, do you know what? They're right. They are the title. Yeah, but listen, I can't have it both ways. I can't sit here and say, oh, we're going to get beat. And then when they say, well, hang on, you're not allowed to say that. They're entitled to say it. But for a minute, I just got a little bit, hang on, they've still got to play us. And we've stopped one Manchester team winning the Premier League in the last game before. Can I get any final words, please, Gonzo? And your all-important score prediction.
Yeah, look, just on that, I'm not bothered about that. The media have said far worse things about West Ham fans, actually, within the last, few weeks. So yeah, that's fine. That's a footballing opinion. I'd certainly think they're allowed that. It seems like an end of an era. It seems significant. It seems like a significant game. The fixture has fallen kindly for Manchester City. There's no doubt about it. You mentioned Crystal Palace then, just you said it. They would not. Yeah, I mean, they would not want to be going to Selhurst Park to win the title at the moment. The way that they're playing, because that would be uncertain. There's no doubt about it. But West Ham's defence is horrendously poor. With 71 goals is already a record. And if you were to start each season and say which game will you concede the most goals, you'd probably say Eithad away. So we've not played the
Eithad
worst,
away.
away at
We
the
don't get
Etihad.
Eithad at home, do you?
That's true. Yeah, very good point. But yeah, Man City away. Yeah, absolutely. What are you gonna, So it's hard to make a case for anything other than a thrashing, because that is what has been suggested all this season. That there's going to be either Zuma or Ogbonna in a defence, possibly both. It could be a horror movie you're about to see. But when you mentioned it, I can actually, because I'm going with 6-1 with Haaland to score first for the shirt, by the way. I'm joking. I can't win it. Probably won't. Anyway, I'm crap at doing predictions, but I do think when that sort of 4th or 5th or 6th or 7th goal goes in, I can see some dancing going on. I really can. What you said there. That they score early, it's all over. And it is just all over. If for some miracle West Ham managed to get to 60, 65 minutes, then possibly Man City get nervous. I'm trying to look for something that Arsenal fans might cling on to here. And we are awful. We are truly, truly awful. If you look at the league, it will look like we're the 9th best team in the league. We're not. So much of that was done months and months ago. We're not that team anymore. And I think it's going to be an easy day at the office for Manchester City. I just hope, that I actually looking at it thinking I actually hope Jared Bowen, I want him to go to Euros. So I've got that, I hope he doesn't get injured. When I wrote out my team, I was half tempted not to put him in.
Yeah, me too.
So I want him to have a really good Euros as well. And as an England fan, there are obviously, I would say the same of Carl Walker and Phil Foden and people like that as well. So that's where we are, mate. It's end of the season. My mind is already half on the Euros. So there you go.
What's your score prediction? You
I'll
gave it
stick 6-1 Haaland.
I went 5-0. I thought you'd have said 5-0. I think you're optimistic, thinking we'll score one. And I'm not even taking the piss. I hope we do, and I hope it's Bowen, because I think Southgate will be at this game just for the ceremony of the winning the title. He might be at the Arsenal one, but I think he'll be at this one. And Bowen will be there. If not, Haaland will be there, probably watching him, so he could impress somebody of importance on the last day. But I feel quite confident we're going to lose 2 or 3-0. I'm going to say 3-0, because I don't think it'll be a hiding, because they don't need to score. And this is where, when they were drawn with Spurs, I thought, oh no, because that would have them both on the same points going into this game. And City had a 3-goal deficit compared to Arsenal. I thought this could be 7 or 8 on Sunday, because City will need to overturn the goal difference, but they don't. They just need to win. So I think you'll find us 2-3 down before half time, and they'll just keep the ball. We just won't touch. They'll just keep it. They'll just pass it around, pass us to death. And I think it'll be the most boring the last half hour of the game. I think it'll be the most boring half hour you've seen this season. They'll just be professional Man City. Just keep the ball, make no mistakes, let the fans have a party while we're all just doing our tip tap, and our players are stood there just watching, going, I can't be arse chasing you.
No.
Our season finished last week. We beat Luton. We had an enjoyable second half. Moyes waved goodbye. Eithad scored his goal. Ogbonna got his stand ovation as he left the field. Last week, I left the London Stadium thinking, season's over now. That's it. It felt like the end of the season, because it probably was for us. I wouldn't be surprised if those not going to the Euros, or actually even those going to Euros, they will have their holiday suitcases with them at the Etihad, and they'll be flying out from Manchester Sunday night. They'll be off somewhere hot. It's a common thing with footballers. They go on their holidays straight after full time, much so they actually take their luggage and passport with them. So as soon as that game's finished, they're showered, they're getting their missus, they're getting in a cab, and they're going straight to the airport, and they're going on holiday. And
I'm glad you said their missus. You don't want to grab someone else's and go on holiday.
John Terry does not play for West Ham. I'll have all of you. Come on, girls, let's go. Roman's got me a yacht. Come on, let's go. The old guard is getting looked after by Roman. We're off. But anyway, I'll say 3-0. 3-0 Man City. And I feel really confident in that scoreline as well. Anyway, if you've enjoyed this preview, probably not if you're an Arsenal fan. You probably have. If you're a Man City fan, unsure if you're a West Ham fan. But please do drop a like on it by clicking thumbs up. Subscribe to Hammers Chat. And if you don't mind lobbing us a few quid every month, go to patreon.com/Hammers Chat. Links in the description below. And we massively appreciate anyone supporting myself and Gonzo. Well, I'll just say catch you next season. We won't. We'll catch you tomorrow, the next day, next week, the week. We're here all summer. We'll see you soon.